That's March 7th. That's the wrong one. So let's go back to your calendar. Scroll down. I pushed the wrong date.
Oh,
So
all right.
Recording in progress.
Welcome, everyone, to the council work meeting. Today is March 21st, 2023. We're in the council chambers on the third floor at the county building. It's 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Present, we have our county attorney, Scott Broadhead. We have, with the council, we have Councilman Thomas, Councilman Hoffman, Councilman Strungberg, Councilman Hamner, and Councilman Wardle. From the manager's office, we have our county manager, Andy Welch, assistant county manager, Brittany Lopez. We also have Nikki from the clerk's office, who is recording and making document of this meeting. We recognize that we have auxiliary heads out there for department heads or elected officials and citizens. Thank you for your attendance. As first presentation, Ty, I guess you're up.
I am? Okay. Well, Jody, we're going to invite Jody Neiman up here. She is the chairman of the tourism board, and she is going to, you guys should all have a print off of all the applications and stuff, and she's going to go through them and then talk about what the events are.
You might want to turn on your mic, Ty.
I can leave it off. I'm fine with that. She's going to talk about what event is, how much they recommended, or how much they requested, and how much the board recommended quickly on all of them, and then she'll address any of our questions and concerns or whatever after that. Does that work, Jody?
Sure.
And I don't know where Russ is. Do we need?
Russ isn't showing tonight, so he couldn't make it.
It was too nice of a day. He had to go out and go four-wheeling.
I already told him he's grounded.
Okay. So the floor is yours.
Jody, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am new in this role, so if there's something that I do or I need to change, I'm open to that. Just let me know, please. I'm a little bit nervous, so I'll try and hold it together. I think it would be easier to hit off of the first tee of a U.S. Open than right here, but okay. We have gone through quite a bit of the applications, and in fact, I'm going to be presenting to you all of the applicants minus 2. So there's a lot. Starting off, we ranked them based on some criterias that we had, and from there, that's how we went through each one. So I'm going to start with the ones in order of how we went through. Starting with NASA, Utah, they requested $3,000 in promo, that's marketing, and $15,000 in capital. They were, the recommendation from the board was the $3,000 in promo and the $15,000 in capital. Out of county advertising only, and to partner with 3 local restaurants and 3 hotels, which they already had a couple, but we've asked them to increase. Second one, Utah Motorsports Campus. They requested $100,000 in promo, $500,000 in capital. They were recommended $70,000 in promo, $50,000 in capital. Out of county advertising only. Ensure vendors are set with the Utah State Tax Commission event certificates to ensure tourism tax dollars are coming back to Tooele, and continue the partnerships with restaurants and hotels that they have, including on the website as well. Tooele Bit and Spur Riding and Rodeo Association. They requested $35,000 in promo, $7,500 in capital. It was recommended 10,000 in promo, 5,000 in capital, out-of-county advertising only. Intermountain Region Porsche Club of America, they requested 15,000 in capital. They were recommended to receive 10,000 in capital, partner with 2 local hotels and 2 restaurants. Historic Wendover Airfield, they requested 15,000 in promo, 10,000 in capital. It's recommended to offer them 15,000 in promo and 5,000 in capital, out of county and more statewide advertising as a stipulation. James L. Bevan Pioneer Museum, they requested $676 in promo and $4,306 in capital. It's recommended that they receive exactly what they've asked for and continue to track their attendees a little bit better. The Old Grantsville Church Foundation, they requested $18,300 in capital. They were recommended to receive $13,000 and no stipulations were put on them. Diamond D Barrel Production, they requested $1,900 in promo, $4,200 in capital, and it is recommended $400 in promo and $4,000 in capital, out of county advertising not to be used towards barrels and banners. Tooele Valley Gardening Association, they requested $5,000 in promo. It's recommended $3,000 in promo, out of county advertising only. Tooele Education Foundation, this is their Elevate Dance show. They requested, let me find them. They requested $2,000 in promo and were recommended the $2,000 in promo, out of county advertising only with tracking of out of county attendees, partner with at least 2 restaurants and 1 hotel. This is a first time applicant as well. Transcript Bulletin Publishing, they requested $45,000 in promo and they were recommended to receive $40,000 in promo, out of county advertising. Salty and Stupid Cycling, they requested $10,000 in promo and the recommendation is $10,000 in promo with out of county advertising with Tooele County logo on swag. Down and Dirty Barrel Club, they have requested $8,000 in capital and that's recommended $4,000 for facility rental. Stansbury Park, they have asked for $10,000 in promo. They were recommended $10,000 in promo with out-of-county advertising only with tracking system to show zip codes of out-of-county attendees. Wendover Airport, they requested $60,000 in capital and it's recommended $30,000 in capital to finish the parking lot. Ivy Acres Farm, DBA Utah Petting Zoo, they requested $15,000 in capital and it is recommended $7,000 to build the new building that they're looking to build. Daughters of Utah Pioneers, they requested $1,968 in capital and they were recommended to receive that for their operations. Hideout Farm and Ranch. They requested 45,000 in promo, and it's recommended to give them the 4,500 in promo, and it's recommended to give them the 4,500 in promo. Out of county advertising only, and must track out of county attendees. And Grantsville City, they requested 7,500 in capital. We didn't feel that this fit tourism, and redirected the applicant to Recreation Board at Grantsville City. Western Music and Songwriters Series, they requested 2,500 in promo and 5,250 in capital. It's recommended the 2,500 in promo and 5,250 in capital. Out of county advertising, continue to partner with some new hotels and restaurants and tracking. Tooele Valley Museum and Historic Park, they requested 24,000 in capital. It's recommended 15,000. Continue to track attendees via zip code and continue to promote out of county. Clark Historic Farm, they requested 8,000 in promo and 30,000 in capital. It's recommended 8,000 in promo and 20,000 in capital. Out of county advertising, and continue to partner with local entities of tracking the attendees. That's it.
Can I just mention something about the two that she didn't mention? They've come up with recommendations on here. It is. They've come up with recommendations for the other two, the Otters and Others and the Rush Valley Church. So she could potentially discuss that if you guys want to and be done with it, then she doesn't have to come back in 2 weeks. It is on here, but it is not listed as what the board had recommended because it wasn't in time at that, they weren't ready at that time, but it is on.
And you're saying they're ready now?
They are ready
Yeah,
now.
we
So I don't know
discussed
if
it last
it's-
week.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that can be discussed though, since it doesn't say the dollar amounts on here that are recommended. If that makes
Council?
sense. Maybe that's a question for Colin, I don't know.
Well,
You know, I
It
would,
would be good, since it's on here, she'd be good to mention it.
Well,
go ahead. Chair recognizes Councilman Ward.
all we have is a recommendation. We can set the whatever it is, if I'm right, beyond the recommendation. So you can make a recommendation in the meeting. We can act or don't act. I mean, that's, so.
Sure. Okay, I'll let you know.
Then
So,
you don't have to come back and.
yeah, I love it.
If you don't want to.
No, that's perfect, thank you. So the other two are Otters and Others Zoo and Conservation. They
Where are they
request,
located at?
The ones highlighted in blue on the list.
No, I got that. Where are they located physically?
Grantsville, I believe. I can look up on their application to let you know. They requested, sorry. They requested 8,000 in capital and 8,000 in promo. The recommendation came back with 3,000, let me start over. They were asking for 3,000 in promo and 8,000 in capital. What we came back to recommend is that they have the 3,000 in promo and the 4,000 in capital. And that they do out-of-county advertising only with the money that they get from the promo.
I looked it up, it's in Stockton on South Silver Avenue.
Oh, maybe that's where it's at. I knew it was a smaller town.
Stockton, you don't know where it's at?
Is this, can I?
Otters and Others?
I can pull it up for
350
you.
West Silver Avenue.
That's the first time I heard of them. That's why I'm just.
Out South Rim area, okay.
Did you want me to pull it up or just go the next? Okay. The last one is Rush Valley Town. They were asking 35,000 in capital, and it's recommended to do 10,000 in capital. The board went ahead and approved this one, or recommended this one to be at 10,000 for capital, but was also hesitant towards awarding anything in the sense that last year they were moving towards being a museum. This year in their application, they mentioned that they were looking to be more of a tourism hub spot. And so it just didn't seem as though they really have a direction. And so we were a little hesitant on awarding anything, but because there was money in the pool that was still there, they thought that recommending 10,000. With all the recommendations the way they are, there is still $5,924 left in the promotional bucket, and there's $8,476 in the capital bucket.
Jody, if I remember right, was the motion with the Rush Valley Town Church for matching funds, that they have to match it as well? Was that discussed? I don't remember. I
We
thought it was.
discussed it, but there was nothing in the,
Okay,
in the
that was
motion.
part of the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember. Okay. So, I've got questions. Does anybody else want to start out with their questions first, though, about?
Let me ask that. Council, with the presentation that was just presented from the advisory board, is there any questions on particular ones that you'd like to drill down on?
Yep.
Kendall, you look,
Go ahead, go Scott.
No, start with Kendall. I'm gonna keep writing.
Chair would recognize Councilman Thomas.
Oh, I just, the one of, the two Wendover ones, are they, one is the air show? What's the difference between the historic Wendover Field and the other one down for the Wendover Airport?
So Ty, do you want to help me on this one? Because
The
you
Wendover
know,
Airport is Lisa Dunn and finishing the airport there, and Lisa, I think, is online and she can address that better. And then the historic Wendover Airfield is the project that Jim Peterson undertakes and stuff, and that's gonna be more tight. They're both gonna be involved with the air show out there and stuff, so.
So same location.
Same location, just different projects that they've got going on and stuff.
Chairman, may I speak?
Do I want to speak?
May I speak?
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm already speaking. Chair recognizes Brittany Lopez.
So last year, the tourism board gave the Wendover Airport, our airport, money to do half of the parking lot. So if you've been out there, half of it's paved, and it's very nice improvement, makes it look a lot nicer. We'd just like to finish that off, so that's what the rest of that's for. So really, it's a capital improvement for the county, so.
Does that resolve your concern or
The one on that-
question?
I got another, but let's go to someone else and we'll come back.
Okay, Chair recognizes Councilman Wardle.
So on all the out-of-county advertising, is Tooele County's logo required on all of them?
the only stipulation was just on the one. That is something that, you know, you guys can maybe discuss if you'd like that to be a stipulation.
Yeah, that was on swag, right?
It was on swag that's being given out at the event. Yes.
Okay,
And I don't know that we've discussed that as a board as requiring that, but it's a good idea. I think it's a great thought. I think it's just something we haven't thought of.
I'm just thinking that through. We're promoting Tooele County and what's in Tooele County, but if we don't say Tooele County,
So that was one of the, well, that was a discussion with the board. So this was the only applicant that actually talked about giving out swag. And so with that brought up the discussion of, is it possible for us with these funds to say that we would like for them to use our logo on that swag? And so that was the discussion of, if the money is given to them, we would like for our logo to be put on the swag.
you're doing a good job, by the way, for your first presentation.
Thank you.
On the ones that involve Clark Historic Farm,
Yes, sir.
Rush Valley, and Tooele Valley Museum and Historical Park, we have generally required matching money from cities on these. Is Tooele City matching money?
Not that we're aware of.
Okay. What about Grantsville?
Not that
Okay.
we're aware of.
And Rush Valley, we already know that they're not.
Correct.
That has been generally something that we've asked, is that everyone has skin in the game.
Agreed.
And I mean, and it can be done in different ways. For instance, it can be done by salaries, it can be done by other things. I just worry that we start to become the TRT board, their source of line item funding that can end on any calendar year cycle. That concerns me.
Yeah.
So, when we look at capital improvements on Utah Motorsports Campus and the old Grantsville Church Foundation, what type of capital improvements are we talking about?
The old Grantsville Church, let me just pull that up so I don't speak out of turn here. They are looking to remove loose and damaged plaster as needed. Remove any damaged adobe behind the removed plaster and develop a custom mortar that is compatible with the surrounding masonry and reasonably blends with the color and texture of the continuous mortar. If needed, find replacement block to replace the deteriorated adobe. And after properly preparing the mortar joints, repoint the mortar joints with this custom mortar and relay the block as needed. Return once the mortar has sufficiently cured and apply a multi-year stucco system with the last coat being a synthetic to match what is currently there.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, what about
Utah
UMC?
Motorsports Campus is the asphalt in the midway, the paddock, the west paddock where they hold autocross, drift, and around Ring Road.
Right, thank you. You helped me.
Yeah.
One thing that was brought up with the tourism board about Utah Motor Campus in their discussions was that, you know, it's a big facility that does a lot of events, and several of them suggested that maybe we talk with them kind of individually like we do Country Fan Fest, to see more about what's going on there and things like that. So that was some of the recommendations by the tourism board. So just so you guys are aware of that.
Thank you. You had another comment?
I've got several more that I would like to.
Go ahead.
Will you tell them what the NASA Utah project is? The rest of the council?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
NASA is an organization. They are working right now to be a 501c3. They are an organization in which they hold the Utah region, but there is a national organization as well, and it's road racing. It is it's multiple different cars, everything from open wheel to your Lamborghinis to your Miatas. And so they have different classes, and it's kind of the entry up to the amateur going close to more of a professional level. Kind of that segue step platform in competition format. They host about every other weekend at UMC, and they're also looking to bring the national competition in 2024 to Tooele.
Wonderful.
Will you also tell them what the Stansbury Park was more for as well?
Yes, let me grab my notes there. Stansbury Park is a project that will develop a tourism section on the Stansbury Park website, produce marketing materials, and develop a system to collect user information. These projects will improve marketing efforts and collaboration on promoting what is available for tourists to do in Tooele County. The efforts will bring additional revenue to the local area and create additional jobs, especially during the peak tourism season of May through September. The production and filming opportunities will bring in more jobs, increase exposure and marketing on what the hotels are as production crews. On what Tooele County has to offer, and bring in additional revenue to Tooele County citizens along with restaurants and hotels, as production crews will need places to stay and eat. Bringing in additional corporate events to hold their meetings at the clubhouse will bring in additional players to the golf course and increase sales at local restaurants. So in a nutshell, they are looking to improve their clubhouse. But it's not just that. Let me grab what they were calling. So it's the Stanberry Golf Course Clubhouse, and then there's also a, it's not saying
Isn't
in
it
here.
the promotion of the waterfront area or
Yeah,
whatever?
there's like a area that, they have like a community area that's got some roofing and some enclosure area to have weddings and convention type stuff. And they're looking to kind of improve that a little bit to where they can have people from outside the county coming to utilize that space. They have in here that they're looking to increase the demographic of people that are coming out to Stansbury Park, and in addition, create the number of corporate events that Stansbury Park Golf Clubhouse. The facility is booked frequently on the weekends, but they're planning to partner with businesses both in Tooele County and surrounding areas to provide the venue for corporate events that would utilize the facilities during non-peak days and hours. Stansbury gathers information on golfers who register their group for tee times. They would use the same registration tracking system for the events that they host out there. And they're in their first year of developing and executing a marketing plan in regards to tourism, and plan to have to reach out to Tooele Valley hotels and restaurants to find out what they can do in collaboration together.
Thanks, Jody.
Yeah.
Will you also tell us a little bit about the Tooele Education Foundation dance showcases? I guess I'm a little concerned about the eligibility of that one.
You want to guard your time, Councilman? We have just about another 4 minutes before we
Okay.
need to move on.
I'll make it quick. This is one that we as well were unsure of because we didn't know, but it is, they are having a dance competition in which a lot of the dance organizations from outside the county come in to do this. It is located at Tooele High School, I believe, and it is it's all day. It's on a weekend. They will be doing posters, newspaper ads. Attendees are tracked through ticket purchases on Eventbrite. They go everywhere from they come in from West Jordan, Clearfield, Bountiful, and even some of them are coming in from other states such as Alabama.
Okay.
So,
I've got more, but I'll let somebody else go and I can make the rest of my comments. And stuff.
Okay, is there any other, well, agenda's gonna get long unless you want to make them all right now.
Well, whatever, I mean,
Do you want to wait until the business meeting where we
you
can
tell me.
vote on them?
I don't know what the time crunch is that we're under, so.
Well, we've been on this about 25 minutes. Do you want to stay on it? Do you want to move to the business?
I
Councilman?
would like to just talk about Rush Valley, the Red Brick Church. I'd like us to, I'm gonna propose this, and I know we can't vote on it.
Is your mic on, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to address the Red Church out in Rush Valley. I would like to, I'm gonna present this here, just kind of roll it out for something to think about, so when we go to our business meeting, I'd like to move that to the business meeting and think about a $35,000 match, up to $35,000. Because at the chamber, they did an excellent presentation. I think they'll be able to easily match that money. So I would like to propose, think about it, bring it up in our business meeting.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, council? Chair recognizes Councilman Stromberg.
So since it is just March and this is the first time I'm seeing this, I'm gonna play ignorance and say I am the new guy. I just wanna make sure I understand capital improvement, or that isn't necessarily capital improvements, they can use that also for rental of a facility? Is that-
yes,
Okay,
yes.
alright, I just wanted to make sure I understood that correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Councilman Hoffman, you have the last word.
Well, I mean, I can make a couple of other comments. Looking at the Wendover Airport with what we're trying to do out there, I would like to see those numbers increase and move that, have them in the business with the recommendations that we do. And then also if we do stuff for the Rush Valley Church and Stansbury and Tooele, I think there ought to be matching funds as well, kind of along Scott Wardle's lines as well. So that's just what I was gonna say. But we can discuss that in the next meeting.
Okay.
Chairman? Jody,
Chair recognizes Councilman Wardle.
you have all the applications. Is there any way you can email them to us during this meeting? Do you have them in a file?
I have them on a Google SharePoint. Maybe I could just share.
A
Can we do that
Google
on our
file?
iPads?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can we use Google SharePoint on our iPads?
I think you can.
Okay, if you could just share that with us, that would be great. I've just got some questions I want to quickly go through.
I was gonna say, can somebody send me emails?
Thank you.
Okay.
Jody, thank you.
Do you have
Thank you.
Brittany's
Wonderful.
email that you can send it to Brittany and then Brittany can send them out?
Yeah, I can do that. I don't, but I can get it. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jody.
Thank
did a great
you.
job.
Next, number 4 is a line item transfer. It doesn't have here, but I guarantee you our auditor is gonna come up.
Council, our goal was to make it to June without any budget adjustments or line item transfers, and we were so close, but obviously we didn't make it. So, first we have some line item transfers for you. First one that we have is for, the EOC. What we have here is a line that's labeled the Pre-Disaster Mitigation Grant line. This is not a grant, this is actually just pre-disaster mitigation funds, and so we just wanna change how that's, labeled, so,
No funds are transferring, just labeling.
yes, exactly. So mostly some cleanup. This next one is more of a formality. Typically, this one wouldn't come before you because it's below the threshold, but it does impact the same employee. And because it impacts the same employee, it's more than the threshold. So it's just reclassing wages for an employee that we have at the health department. So we're kind of just bringing it before you since it does go over the threshold that way. And then the last one that we have is one that missed the 2023 budget. Well, it got put in the 2023 budget, but under the wrong line. So we're gonna move $20,000 from the mobile vaccine clinic to the crisis workforce line. And so those are our line item adjustments for this evening.
Council, is there any questions for Alison on those proposals of move on line item? There's no concerns from the auditor's office?
No,
Okay.
she just scared me.
Oh,
No, that's okay.
thank you. Now, that brings us down to resolution and ordinances, amending, increasing the 2023 budget. Alison?
All right, so we do have several funds that we're gonna be adjusting for tonight. The first one is for search and rescue. They did some security work on the fire last year, and they received payment for that from the state of Utah. What they would like to do is increase their equipment line and purchase what will likely end up being maybe like a four-wheeler or something to that effect. They've got some pretty old equipment that they would like to replace, and so they're asking for an increase based on the funds that they received from doing security on that fire. The next one that we have is for the USU Extension. They take credit cards payments for some of the programs that they do over there, and so we're just going to be reclassing the way that they track their credit card payments. But because we have to reclass that, we need to create a revenue and expense account for those credit card payments, and so that's what that $4,750 is for. The next two that we have are for grants at the health department, and with these grants, this also creates 2 new positions at the health department. The first one is for $136,000. So you can see it creates the position as well as travel, training, services and materials and supplies. The next one that we have is a $66,000 grant, which, like I said, also creates a position, travel, training, materials, and then contract services as well. The next one that we have is a $15,000 increase in the tourism fund. This is a carryover from the website project that they were working on in 2022. This will be the final payment for that. And this was budgeted in 2022. The funds just rolled back to the fund balance, so we just need to bring them back up into the budget. Finally, the last one that we have, there was an accident out at the Wendover Airport where a fence was damaged, and so we just need to increase the budget to fix the fence repair, or to cover the fence repair. So those are all the budget adjustments that I have for this evening.
Council, any questions or comments on that? Seeing none? Okay. Thank you, Allison. Colin, that will bring you up to amend chapters 1, 5, and 13, Title 4, Tooele County Code.
If I may, Chair, I'd like to take this in conjunction with the next item. This first one is Ordinance 6, the next one is Resolution 6.
Council, you have any objection to that?
No.
Seeing none? Okay.
Well, for several months, we've been talking about elected officials serving on boards and committees, and at our last meeting 2 weeks ago, the council decided to have elected officials not serve on the Planning Commission, the Tourism Tax Advisory Board, and the Recreation Special Services District. Ordinance number 06, as you will see, has those changes for the Tourism Tax Advisory Board and the Planning Commission. Language in both of those that specifically says persons who serve as elected county officials are ineligible for appointment to those two commissions. Resolution number 6 talks about the Recreation Special Services District. And the reason that I've broken them into 2 in the ordinance and 1 in the resolution, the 2 committees, the Planning Commission and the Tourism Tax Advisory Board, are established by ordinance. Their membership is set forth in ordinance and so forth. The Recreation Special Service District was established by resolution. And so there is no ordinance that talks about the Recreation Special Service District. We need to amend the resolution itself to prohibit elected officials from serving on that Special Service District Administrative Control Board.
Okay. Council, any questions or comments?
The only question is on the tourism board, sorry. How are we gonna keep track of it, Colin, so that when we talk about trails, who's on board ordinances called Tooele County Code, Title 4, Boards and Committee? Are we gonna be able to put the resolution in there along with the ordinance for tourism and planning? Is that where we're gonna be able to track those through?
Okay, so on the Planning Commission and the Tourism Tax Advisory Board, that will actually go into the ordinances themselves, which find their way into the county code, which Andy updates regularly and puts up on the website. Those 2 will be covered. The Recreation Special Service District, all of the council's resolutions are on a massive spreadsheet that's maintained by the clerk's office. And so it will be indicated there, as well as the clerks have another system that keeps track of all the boards and the commissions and the special service districts. And I will ask Ms. Rash to put something up on the Recreation Special Service District's page to indicate that county elected officials are ineligible to serve.
Very good, thanks.
If you
Colin.
approve these.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, council?
No, we've talked a lot about this. I think we've come to a good,
We've talked a lot
Compromise.
about it.
I think it's a good compromise based on
Okay.
where we've been.
Thank you, Colin. Appreciate you.
you.
Move it forward.
That'll bring up D, terminating contract. Allison, you want to speak to that?
Sure, council, we currently have a contract with Summit Energy to provide our natural gas for 3 of our facilities, the county admin building, the jail, and also Deseret Peak. We're asking to have that contract terminated. And then further down in the contracts, I don't know if you want to talk about this now or if you'd like to have me come back up, I'm happy to do that. Our intent would be to go with Dominion Energy around, on July 1st, effective July 1st. And so I'm happy to go into more detail if you'd like.
Council, is there any other questions? I know that it's been talked about or we've seen, and we can have that in our business meeting also. If there's any other questions or comments. Andy? Brittany? No? Okay. Thank you. Colin?
This
code
is,
regarding the annual business license?
yes, this is ordinance number 2023-11. As you know, the county clerk serves as the election officer for the county. They also handle all of the business licenses. It's a request from the clerk's office that we shift the business license period. Currently, we run from July 1st through June 30th. They would like it to run from January 1st through December 31st. So instead of the fiscal year, so to speak, put it on the calendar year. And here's the reason why. In the middle of June, they're mopping up primary elections, getting ready for the general election in November, and trying to do both of these things at once has apparently created a hardship. So their proposal is to simply shift the business license cycle back 6 months, started on January 1st of each year.
Nikki, are you wanting that to alleviate some stress?
Yeah, just a little bit. Like he said, in the middle of an election cycle, it's kind of hard to switch your focus to business licenses when you're gearing up for the general election coming up in November. It also brings us more in line with state licensing too. So most of our business license owners, they have to license with the state as well, either through the Department of Commerce or if they have like an alcohol license. All of the state licenses come due at the end of the year also, so it just makes it easier for the business owner to just do it all at once too at the end of the year. So it just kind of makes more sense.
Thank you. And Chair recognizes Andy Welch.
Just a quick on the budget side, this is just shifting it 6 months. We'll still collect it within the budget year, so there's no impact to our budget. It's still okay. It just moves it from collecting most of it in June to December.
Correct.
Same fiscal year for us.
And how are we gonna collect that difference for the 6 months that we're off the first year? And what are we gonna do about that?
Any, who would like to speak to that? Nikki?
Honestly, our plan was, it was just gonna be a grace type thing. Oops, sorry. So for the existing license owners, we were just going to extend the license through the end of the year rather than having it end in June, so that's not going to have any impact to the budget. New applicants, if they apply before 3 months prior to the end of the year, so say we get an application in August, they would need to pay for that entire year. If they apply in September, October, well, I'm sorry, at the end of September, so October, November, December applications, we would just grace it for them.
So that's a grace period of 6 months.
Right.
Any other questions, council? I just have one more, but is that gonna affect anything in the auditor's office on,
The grace period won't affect the budget?
you know?
Okay.
No?
I haven't done any analysis on that.
Okay, thanks, Colin.
Thank you.
Next up is Trish. Oh, Rochelle. I apologize.
It should be
It had Trish down here, I promise.
Thank you, Chairman and council members. Trish is out ill tonight, so I am presenting for her.
Well, we wish her well then.
Yes, so do I. She's an integral part of our office, and we notice her when she is gone for sure. This is a request by the county, well, by the county planning office, to amend section 4.3 of the county code. Currently, it reads that no building permit may be issued for a lot that does not have frontage upon a dedicated or publicly approved street, except residential lots may front upon a private road approved by the Planning Commission through a conditional use permit. We would like to add an exception that lots used solely for the provision of essential services may be accessed via a recorded perpetual easement. We have currently Dominion is wanting to put in a test facility, and then SPID is needing to get a permit to do some work down at the lagoons. And per this code, they would not be able to get a building permit because they do not have access off a publicly dedicated street. But we don't want them to have access of a publicly dedicated street because we don't want to funnel people to those locations. So this would just be for essential services, which is defined in our code.
Okay. Any other questions, council? Comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Scott Broadhead, how's your voice today? Enacting Chapter 23 Battery, Title 6, Public Safety.
My voice is as melodic as usual,
Okay?
or lack thereof. So, the purpose of this ordinance is to add battery as an offense to our public safety code. There is, as I put in our memo, we pretty much stopped at 10 other cities. We just did a research how many other cities have done this. After our guys got to 10, I said, Tyson, stop, because it's fairly common throughout the state. What this would cover is the type of offensive touching which may not fit exactly under the assault statute or under the disorderly conduct statute. So I gave some examples in the memo about what type of touchings that could be. That could be unwanted cutting of hair, unwanted kissing, unwanted touching of someone's body that doesn't quite amount to an assault, sexual assault, slapping food at someone, placing gum in their hair, pouring liquids on them, chest bumping, shoving, shoulder checking. Some other examples that happen in school, swirlies, pantsings, these type of offenses that are offensive, but they're not really an assault and not really disorderly conduct. So this would not be unusual for us to have a battery. It's not like other counties and cities don't do this, but it is not in the Utah code, so we'd have to enact it in our county code. So I think it just kind of fits a hole, fills a hole of certain factual situations that should be a criminal offense but don't quite meet the state code.
Okay. Council, any other questions or comments?
I've got a couple of questions.
Please. Chair recognizes Councilman Wardle.
And looking at the other codes, will this be a Class B or Class C misdemeanor?
Well, it's listed as a Class B, but I'm open to making it a Class C, or some counties, some make it Class B, some make a fixed fine for it. We've left it as drafted as a Class B and just be the same fine and punishments that would be under.
What are the punishments for Class B versus
Class B
C?
misdemeanor is $1,000 fine, and $1,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail.
Okay, and what's Class C?
Class C is up to 90 days in jail and a $750 fine.
Okay, so my second question is this, and I'm trying not to be nitpicky, but I've watched plenty of basketball games where hard fouls happen, someone shoulder checks someone. Are we gonna prosecute that?
I don't know that we've ever prosecuted.
I know, but we're criminalizing it in the ordinance. That's where my concern comes in.
Well, true, but we haven't, I don't know of anyone that's ever prosecuted a fight in a football game either.
That's my only concern, is that when we start looking at this, do we open the door for parents coming in and crying out, you've gotta start prosecuting?
Well,
Or do you just have the discretion, Scott, to work?
well, number one, we have the discretion, number
Good,
one.
that's all I need.
But number two, there's other, like I said,
Yeah,
assaults happen, basketball games, two kids punch each other in a basketball game. Do we prosecute those? No.
okay, that's all I wanted to know.
I don't recall that we've ever prosecuted one.
I thought there was something in the law, but I'm not the attorney. This is in like sports and stuff like that. When
No,
there's a game that
doesn't say
there's,
that.
you can't do that, okay.
Actually, I heard in certain games that a red team that punches a blue team is not fined, but they are rewarded, and a blue team who takes the punch, it's just normal.
It depends on which jurisdiction the prosecutor lives. If you punch a kid from Stansbury Park, you got a problem, don't you? Just teasing, that's a joke.
No, I looked at that and I thought, oh, golly, we're gonna have parents.
I just think it's a door that's already open.
Okay, all right, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Council? Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Now we'll bring up Corey, talking about livestock panels.
Panels. Requesting a sole source contract to purchase some additional livestock panels for the setup that we already have at Deseret Peak. This will help us host an event, which will be a United States Team Petting Association qualifying event for the Days of 47 Rodeo. So it'll happen right prior to the Days of 47 Rodeo. They need to house 220 head of cattle, so we need some more pens. And we have WW panels, and if you know panels, they have proprietary locking systems.
Yeah, and you need, this is acquiring more that would be
Yes.
able to
To
assist in
build
those
additional pens.
pens.
And but then with these pens, we can also bring in other events that we haven't been able to because of the lack of pens, isn't that correct?
Correct. We've also secured a bull futurity event because of pens, and they're in negotiations to bring 2 or 3 more bull futurity events.
Good.
Any other questions, council?
Can I just ask the council, how many of you know what a bull futurity is?
I was waiting for that. I was gonna say,
Would you like to know? A futurity is an animal that's, it depends on the race of the animal or type of animal, but futurity refers to the age of the animal. So usually it's a 2-year-old animal when it comes to bulls.
Cool. That's awesome. Thank you for helping us. We're
Very
learning
welcome.
something tonight.
And here's something, Derby, for example, horse racing, Derby is a 3-year-old animal. So, there you go.
Nice job.
Good to come to camp.
put that in your gee whiz books. Okay, council, we're done there. That will bring up Allison, talking about the, change of services. Thank you.
Okay,
Dominion.
okay, you do want, okay.
That-
Sorry,
that's
I
what it
thought you said we're done.
says.
I thought, no,
Intent
yes, it
to
does.
change.
I thought you said we're done there, but I understand what you were saying now. So council, this goes back up to our terminating the contract of Summit Energy. When we terminate with Summit, we will have to move to Dominion Energy, and that would be July 1st. So what we're asking here is we do need to give Dominion notice by March 31st that we intend to go with them. So we're not actually signing a contract with them right now, just giving them the intent that we plan to go with them at that time.
I just have one question. We don't have any concern that there's not gonna be overlap on, I mean, we have to have overlap, make sure that there's services there before there's non-services, right? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. There should not be any trouble with that.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
One comment, thank you for catching this.
Yes.
I think this is the exact thing that, when we talk about the auditor's office and being fiduciary, this is awesome, so thank you.
Well, I do have to give credit beyond our office, because there were a lot of eyes on this, so.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then the next one, I think I'll let you lead off on that trench failure.
All right, council, I'm mostly here before you for a discussion tonight, and then depending on how this discussion goes, I may come back before you with a resolution based on where you tell me to go with this. What we have is a situation out in Lake Point where there was a failure in a road based on some repairs that were done underneath the road. We've determined that the failure was likely due to a sewer repair, and the sewers out there are taken care of by Lake Point Improvement District. And I do need to be very clear that Lake Point Improvement District is separate from Lake Point City, which is separate from Ochre Mountain Water Company. So there's 3 separate entities out there, and the entity that we believe that's responsible for this is Lake Point Improvement District. This failure in the trench system did occur prior to Lake Point becoming a city, so this is when we still manage the roads out there, and we're still responsible for those roads. We identified the trench failure, or the road failure, in August, and we worked with them to try and get that road fixed, and the road was repaired in October. The road repair was around $1,600, and I do want to make it clear that this really isn't about the amount of money.
The road was repaired by who?
The road was repaired by Tooele County, thank you. We've made attempts to collect on that road repair. We haven't been able to collect on that road repair. And so what I'm here to ask you is how you would like us to proceed. We have identified other failures in the road further up, at least 2 other failures, so it'd be a total of 3 failures in that area. And so typically we don't repair roads for other entities. That's not our practice. I do know, like I said, the dollar amount is small, so the dollar amount's not really what we're concerned about, but we do need to know what our practice is in this situation. We do have the opportunity, they do get tax disbursements from us And we want to know if that's something that you would like us to pursue that way as far as reducing their disbursements. So one, just as an option, so.
Can I add to that,
Sure.
Allison, is they've made every opportunity by electronic communications to telephone to snail mail to resolve this concern, and there's just been no communication at all. And so that's why she's bringing it for us, because that is monies from taxpayers to recover. And one of the solutions that Alison has then presented is, we are the collector of that. Is that something that the council would even entertain to, when the tax dollars come in, withhold the $1,600 and pay out the other monies that are owed them? And
Allison, is that the practice you want them to be talking about, or is there a different practice? you
No,
want them
that's
to-
what I,
the practice.
yeah, that's what I'm just, yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, that's what is that how you would like us to proceed? Do you want us just to let it go? Do you want us to, we just didn't feel like we were in a position to,
so,
make a decision on
in a
this.
sense, what you're asking is either that or write it off as bad debt?
Yeah, essentially, and I do want to say, we've had lots of discussion internally here, and when we talked about taking their taxes, the treasurer's office did not feel comfortable just making that decision unilaterally, because this is your decision. And so that's another reason that we're here, is we didn't just feel like we could just make that decision.
So they haven't responded at all, so we don't know if they're just being rude, if they just don't wanna talk to us about it, they're just flat out ignoring us on it.
Yeah, and we did email all their board members as well, their employees. Jed's had face-to-face conversations with their employees as well. And so we really have made a good faith effort to get in contact with them. And like I said, this has been a situation that's been going on since August of last year.
So with this, that's why we felt comfortable bringing it to you. I think they've exhausted their abilities to reach out for a resolution. And so, council, if you have other ideas, and Chair recognizes Councilman Wardle.
Were the letters sent certified mail?
we did not send a letter certified mail, but we'd be happy to do that.
I'm more comfortable once we know that they've received service, so they can't sit back and say, we never received anything, it went to my spam.
Sure.
But I think that we need to send a demand letter by certified mail to the board.
Sure.
And I think as part of our practice, I think that should just be part of the practice.
Sure, and absolutely.
So do you wanna send certified mail before we decide on this, or do we wanna make a decision?
Well,
based on the
we'll need to.
outcome of the lack of response from certified mail if that happens?
Do you feel comfortable making a decision in the work meeting, or do you want to do that in our business meeting?
I did not move this to your business meeting. My thought
Just
process
see
was,
where you'd rather
is
go.
you would kind of give me direction as far as, okay, our plan is, we can send a certified letter, we can give them another 30 days if you want. After that 30-day period, I can come back before you, depending on what they do. If they pay us, fantastic, I'll never see you again on this issue. If after that 30 days, they don't pay or they don't respond, I can come back before you with a resolution to say withhold their taxes or whatever, if that's the direction you'd like.
Okay, I have two other questions. Just, Scott, you're comfortable with direction going? And then Andy, you're comfortable with that? Council, how do you feel about the recommendation from Councilman Wardle? Just shake your heads if you're good with the certified letter.
I think let's try doing everything we can before we bring it, then in 30 days, Allison, bring it back and then go kick some hiney.
Okay, Chair recognizes Councilman Stromberg.
So the question I have, I mean, if we didn't worry about this, do we need to have something in place if it were to happen again? Because they could come back in 30 days and say, oh, we didn't see this, here you go. But if we had this same thing again, and we come back and have the same conversation.
Are you recommending a policy change?
So I'm just wondering if we need to look at having a policy so we know what it would be regardless of this. That's just my question, is do we, this is brought a concern up. This concern may get solved, but what about the next time?
Sure, and that is something to look at, that is definitely something to look at, possibly. Colin, I could just feel him coming.
The presence.
Kinda like Darth Vader, isn't he?
Yeah. Feel him.
Allison, is this the one where we can't find a franchise agreement?
We cannot find a direct franchise agreement. for this one.
Generally, when we have a utility company or an improvement district such as this, we have a franchise agreement that lays all of this out. In this case, we cannot find the franchise agreement with the Lake Point Improvement District. So on my list of things to do is to prepare a franchise agreement and send it to them, and hopefully they will review it, sign it, and send it back. But that would establish things like, if we have these failures, this is how we're gonna collect them. If you don't pay them, this is what we will do.
It says in the notes.
Chair recognizes Councilman Hoffman.
It says in the notes here that, this Fryer guy, Keith Fryer, is that his name? I don't know who he is, received a copy of the franchise agreement from Jed Bell back in September.
So the franchise agreement that he received was the Ochre Mountain Water franchise agreement, not the Lake Point Improvement one.
That doesn't say that in there, so.
Thanks. Chair recognizes Councilman Wardle.
First of all, if people don't pay their bills, tax bills, what do we do?
Well,
I think that that's a governing principle. Secondly, in my 17 years now, I have never seen this happen. I would hope that there would be something better from government or a special service district than this. Third, I think a letter, and I don't know if I want to go policy-wise yet, if we can do it in the franchise agreement, because the policy can lock us in and have unintended consequences where a franchise agreement is specific to the organization. However, I think a certified letter with a 30-day demand, and if it's not, then we come back with an ordinance, and that's where we go.
I will have the certified letter ready by the end of the week, so.
Chair recognizes Andy Welch.
And Colin, I guess if we do a franchise agreement, it's really only good for as long as we're providing service to Lake Point going forward. Is that?
Well, I guess that's true.
Because if we stop providing road maintenance, then they would then be in charge of the roads and franchise agreements. So this would cover us, at least in this instance, just through the year, or whenever they decide to.
Whatever period of time that is, yes.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Okay. We okay with the certified letter? Okay.
Wait. But it does bring me to a question. If we're providing road service to other organizations and governments, we probably ought to have a provision inside that agreement that says that they will make sure that all franchise agreements are in place.
That would not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Just thinking through the policy side of that. So I'd recommend that as we go forward.
And I'm sure Lake Point City would love to have a franchise agreement that would roll over. So we'd be doing them a favor.
Allison's going to feel me return to my seat now.
Thank you. Gentlemen, that's bringing us down to B, current compensation policy. Andy, do you want to talk on this? Do you want me to start?
I think Adam will tee this one
Adam,
up, just so that
thank
we're
you.
sure on this, and I can.
I didn't see you back there, Adam.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, appreciate you having me, and I don't know if you guys have had some discussions and have a little bit of background. We wanted to get a discussion going with you guys, get some direction as far as handling the situation when employees go, when their pay raise they would have received would push them above the maximum of our pay ranges. We have established pay ranges for every position, and currently we have 3 employees that are above, and one of them's barely above. The other 2 are somewhat significantly above the maximum of those pay grades. The current policy states that they are held where they're at until the pay range increases. The way the pay range increases is our annual cost of living adjustments that we do. We're gonna start calling those something different, but every year it's not a guarantee, right? But when we do an adjustment of those pay ranges, if it were to move above where they're currently at, then they would then be eligible for additional increases. But until that time, they're kind of frozen. That's not the exact words we use, but they're held where they're at. And there's been some discussion about different ways to handle that. And one of those is, and it was a recommendation given by Victoria McGrath when we did our pay study, that a lump sum payment, there would be a calculation made of what that difference is, and that additional amount above the maximum would be provided to the employee as a lump sum payment. And I know from discussion I've had with Andy, the preference that the council seems to have is that rather than doing that lump sum payment all at once, that it would be more done as kind of a per pay period basis, bi-weekly basis, so that they would receive a smaller amount each time, so that way they're not getting it all up front. And so just want to engage in a discussion along those lines, get some direction from you guys as we're revising the policy and especially our compensation policy, what direction we should be taking with that. And I don't know if Andy, if you have any.
And I did send you a copy of this just for us to look at. So the wording that we proposed was employees at or above the maximum of their assigned range will receive the market or across the board, or the COLA, pay increase up to the maximum, and then they'll receive anything above that new maximum in equal bi-weekly payments. And so that lump sum Adam was talking about, it would just be split out over 26 or 27 pay periods depending on the year. There would still there'd be no merit increase until their maximum, until that moves out beyond that grade. So this would allow just some relief in those three instances. Right now, we don't have a lot close. There are a few coming up, but
There's one I anticipate that might happen next year, but there are 3 current employees that are above the maximum. And so
this would offer some relief based on this was about a year ago, I think, when we amended this
back
policy.
in April,
A year ago.
almost a year ago.
Yeah. So we haven't put this on for the next meeting, but this was just some discussion. You want us to change that? I think this would accomplish what I think you've mentioned that you like it to, but we're open to any other suggestions.
Well, and sorry, for one other thing that I'll point out. The way this is written is it still doesn't allow them to get merit once they're above the pay grade. So they would still receive COLA, and if it's above the maximum, anything above that would be calculated as a lump sum payment, broken up by 26 pay periods throughout the year. But merit wouldn't be, and I don't know if that is what the intent is of this, but that's what the wording is currently, so.
Okay. Council, any other questions or comments on that?
Bring it forward. Let's bring it forward. Let's move on. I think.
We don't have the resolution yet. We'll have to do that in the next meeting if
We can
that's okay.
put together a resolution.
To
For sure.
change the personnel policy.
Chair recognizes Councilman Strongberg.
So I'm good with what we have. I guess my question and what I want to understand is, I guess I thought this was a little bit of trying to correct, and it is from the pay study. But when you mentioned that we could run into this in the next year because someone gets merit, I guess I've never seen where there's not, I'll say promotion that moves you into the next pay band, if you will. So that's my concern is, how is it that employees can max out at a pay band without moving up?
Yeah.
So I don't know if.
Yeah, in this case, it would be because the merit pushes them up to the max. Is that, because the COLA would keep shifting with, the grades would keep shifting up at each year. It would be the merit that would really make them max out.
And I guess that's my question. If we're saying, if they're a good enough employee that they should be getting merit, okay, you're at the top of your pay band, shouldn't there be the opportunity to be promoted to then jump into the next band where you can move up? I mean, that's what I've seen.
And what I would say to that is we do have a lot of our positions that have that built in, where there's career ladders is what we call it. And so, like, as an example, out in the jail, we have Corrections Officer 1, Corrections Officer 2, Corrections Officer 3, but we don't have a 4. And I don't know if that's something that we engage the sheriff with, but once they are a 3, that's kind of the predetermined highest level of that corrections officer. Now, if a sergeant position were to open that they apply for and that they're eligible for, they could certainly be promoted beyond that level 3. But there are some of our positions where we don't have that career ladder established because the position is what it is, and there's not necessarily a lot more to it. And so if an employee chooses to stay at that level and not consider looking at other opportunities within the county, there's a little bit of a limit to that as far as that goes.
I get what you're saying, but I guess to me then, they probably shouldn't be getting a merit. But if we're saying they should be getting a merit, if they're that good of an employee, why are we saying, sorry, you've just been here so long, you're a great employee, but I can't do anything for you. So
And there was a lot more of that 1, 2, 3 back before the pay study, and we collapsed a lot of those and tried to create bigger pay bands than what existed previously. So the chances are a lot less likely than it used to be, but there certainly still could be. And it was based on recommendation from Victoria McGrath, who we consulted with the pay study, to not necessarily create all these extra levels if the position didn't justify it. I don't know.
Yeah, she just said there was a value of each position up to a certain point with the grades that people could shift somewhat, but then she kind of maxed it out as what she would say is you can't just basically you're not having a max if you do that. You just keep creating, which is the problem that we had. We just kept creating grades. The job description was exactly the same. It was just, we would say, well, this is now this is now class 4 of that, now class 5. And so the position job description may have been exactly the same, or it may have been, you've been with us longer, which you shouldn't base, I mean, that was.
yeah, and I get the job description. I guess what I've seen is there's a change in
The position.
title, position to warrant moving up. right?
Absolutely. If they're, based on the job description, if it's a new job and we can, we'll grade it again.
New
We'll-
duties and
The
responsibilities.
duties and responsibilities change, absolutely.
Sure.
We'll regrade things like that, absolutely.
That's more my, I mean, because that's, to me, if someone's, and it goes back to, if someone's, if you're saying, hey, I want to give you a merit, you're a great employee, then you ought to be able to promote them to, I'll use the term, I mean, we have staff, we have senior, we have lead in the world, and so you may get to the point where you go from a senior to a lead, there's some additional responsibility with that, but that's that way to move you, so if that's.
Yeah, as long as it's identified in the job description, absolutely.
All right.
I think some of the issue we were having prior is we started having a lot of employees in those higher levels that it maybe wasn't justified to have that many at that higher level within the department. And so that was something that we tried to get away from. The other example I would give is if you had an administrative assistant who likes that type of work and is good at it, but isn't really interested in taking on additional responsibilities, they're comfortable. Do you promote them to a higher level just because they're performing well? I mean, that's something we need to discuss. But the position is what it is, and so it's hard. That's
But we can
that's something
evaluate
else we
those.
need to discuss. Yeah.
All right, just, like I said, I'm good with what's there, just as you know,
Thank
just
you.
the thought of going forward, you know, are we gonna run into this, so, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate you.
Any other discussion?
We're not moving this forward for tonight, correct?
No, we need to.
No.
We'll work on a resolution.
That I'll ask
Yep.
you later.
Yeah, we'll work on a formal resolution and bring that back.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Council, I'd look for a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chairman, before we motion to adjourn, I'm going back over the tax advisory. Jody, you don't need to worry about this, but I'd like to review every application after seeing some things. Can we put this vote off for 2 weeks?
We can't vote on that right now.
Or,
but
no,
yes.
in the action items for the next agenda. We usually talk about moving something forward. I'm not prepared to move the recommendations forward. I need to look at all their applications,
All the applications?
all of them. For 3
I'm
weeks.
okay holding on it.
Okay.
There are just too many questions I have on some of them.
Did you have a comment?
I want to work through.
No, I'm good with that.
Okay.
No, Jody, is there any that are waiting for money that you're aware of or wanting us to move fast? I would just say we throw that out there just in case, but
You're aware?
if you're aware of any.
Yes, I do know that we've had multiple that have already called and are inquisitive as to whether or not they're going to receive the funds. I know Bittenspur, NASA's already started, International Region Porsche Club's already started. I know Wendover Airfield and the Wendover Airport has been asking. They even showed up at our meeting to kind of see where we're at. And then, let's see, Salty and Stupid, because it's gonna take time for them as well.
So
So
there's-
April 11th is the date.
I'd like to
that
take them individually because I have no questions about those ones. But I have serious questions about a couple of other ones. So we may wanna take them individually.
I don't see a,
I can move it forward, but if we're gonna have to vote on them as a whole, my answer,
Well, then let's vote on them one-on-one.
okay.
well, council, how do you feel about that?
In the business meeting, take them one-on-one.
Business meeting, take them one at a time?
Yeah, we're good
Okay.
with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I look for a motion to